Now, talking about lefties losing it, remember this chat before the election featuring TDS duo actor Robert De Niro and TV host Bill Maher?
If he wins the election, you won't be on the show anymore. He'll come looking for me. There'll be things that happen that none of us can imagine. That's what happens in that kind of a dictatorship, which is what he says. Let's believe him. Take him at his word.
I did from the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I said from the very beginning, this guy is never going to concede power.
A dictatorship? Well, no one has come for Robert De Niro, and Bill Maher is still on TV. And now he will be meeting President Donald Trump at the White House. This has been set up by one of Maher's recent guests and one of Trump's friends, rock star Kid Rock. Let's bring in Newsweek's senior editor-at-large and Article 3 Project Senior Counsel Josh Hammer. Josh, what do you think about this? I've got to say, I am not a fan of this plan.
Rita, I don't trust Bill Maher, to put it mildly. I mean, the same way that I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg and a lot of these California liberals who are increasingly in Donald Trump's good graces. Having said that, even though I don't trust him, I'm not sure that it's a politically bad move for Donald Trump. There's very little in the way of downside here. Frankly, there's only potential upside. I mean, Rita, before the election, you and I discussed how the 2024 election in America really did not come down necessarily to an ideological right versus an ideological left divide. Rather, you had the MAGA America First Coalition, which is basically a nonpartisan coalition of the common sense. That's how you had so many prominent ex-Democrats, people like RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard there. And then on the other hand, you had the civilizational arsonists, the woke crazies there. Now, again, Bill Maher is a liberal. I disagree with him on more issues than I agree with him on there, but he is very anti-woke. There are some things that he's potentially amenable to the Trump administration's message on. And more importantly, he's got a massive audience. I mean, he has an absolutely massive audience. His show has won God knows how many Emmy Awards here in the United States there. He has genuine reach there. Just kind of colloquially speaking here in my circles there, people watch his show. I mean, his message gets out there. So if Donald Trump can kind of bring him in, and if Bill Maher can at least become slightly less hysterically Trump derangement syndrome induced, I'm not getting my hopes up for that, by the way. But if there's any possibility of that happening there, seems like it's worth it to me. Again, I don't trust the guy there, but I see very little in the way of downside for this play.
I think he gets a golden run, Josh. Not only is Maher a TDS sufferer, I think he benefits from the bigotry of low expectations conservatives have these days for the left, because occasionally, yes, he'll say something that's anti-woke. He'll point out some sensible point of view, something the right has been saying for years, and we'll stand around and clap like he's said something profound, even though it's really just repeating what has been said by the other side of politics for a long time. But as Megyn Kelly exposed in her chat with Maher, this dude is in a bubble, profoundly ignorant of stuff that he pretends to be passionate about, like election denial.
Hillary Clinton, of course, is the original election denier. I'm sure you voted for her in 2016.
Well, she's not an election denier.
She absolutely was the OG election denier.
First of all, she came out before the sun had risen to concede the election to Trump.
And then spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was an illegitimate president.
Okay, well, first of all, she didn't say he was an illegitimate.
Yes, she did.
You tell me exactly what she said.
She said those exact words repeatedly.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president.
Okay.
What do you say to that? Because, yes, amongst other left-wing commentators and TV hosts, he's far more sensible, far more balanced. But at the end of the day, he has bought all this propaganda about Trump and hasn't bothered to check some of that information, including things like things that have been debunked for years that the left still are pushing these to this day.
Rita, look, I am not a Bill Maher apologist. I'll be very candid with you. I don't even watch his show, actually. But having said that, I've had a number of friends here who have been on his show there. And I can tell you that based on what I've heard from those who have been there on the show with him, some of them have actually tried to talk in private off camera. I won't name names. I won't kind of get into that. But some of them have actually tried to talk about Trump with him off camera there. And they here, there, and everywhere hit a block because he seems to just genuinely have a mental block when it comes to Donald Trump there. He has a very hard time getting over that. Even if he is sympathetic to a lot of his policies there, he's definitely sympathetic to a lot of what Trump says when it comes to the dangers of radical Islam. He's very pro-Israel. I mean, like free speech. I mean, there's some stuff that he genuinely seems to disagree with the modern left on, but he has a massive holdup when it comes to Donald Trump. That's probably what Donald Trump is thinking and taking this meeting, actually. He's like, okay, this guy's a massive critic of mine. He's got a gargantuan platform. Maybe I can bring him in and like, you know, let's get a McDonald's Happy Meal or something. And I'll show him like I'm not a fascist, that I'm not straight out of Munich in 1933 or something there. Again, maybe not the greatest odds in the world of succeeding there, but I'm just not necessarily seeing the downside here.
Oh, look, I think it has a potential to backfire because, yes, he does rail against the modern left occasionally, but that's because he realises that it's stopping them from being elected. He wants the Democrats in power. He's a fan of Gavin Newsom, wants him to be president. So you look at what he's done to California. That's yeah, I've got my doubts about this. We're going to keep a close eye, but I've got a feeling this is going to backfire.